welcome to this updated version on how to create a custom map in Crusader Kings 3. I have made a video like this like 2 years ago and it is outdated by now, it doesn't work anymore, and many of you wanted to see an updated version, so yeah, here it is. And to start off, we are going to need the almost blank map mod. Link is in the video description, and you're going to download it right here via the drive link. After that, you're going to open it with WinRAR and also open your mod folder in Documents, Paradox Interactive, Crusader Kings 3 and mod. And you're going to extract the total conversion files into there. When this is done, you can now start renaming these files on how you want your mod to be called. So in this case, I'm going to rename it to test and also test. So in the next step, you open your test folder and open your descriptor file with Adam in my case. And there you can change the name as well to test. And your supported version in this case is 1.8.1. Then you're going to hit save and close it again. And next you're going to open the test mod file. And you are going to replace this path right here with the path of your mod folder, in this case test. So you just copy this, paste it in here, and then you have to change these slashes to the opposite slash. Once you've done that, you can also save this file and close Atom. And to check if everything worked, you can now add your mod to a custom playset. And as you can see, we have test right here for the version 1.8.1. So for this next step, I can only suggest that you use the azgaars fantasy map generator if you want to create a fantasy map and you haven't got a specific map in mind that you want to create, which is great because it creates a world for you and it can also be used to import that world really easily into CK3. We go to layers, select heightmap, go to style, select the element heightmap, then we select grayscale, we select the color scheme monochrome, we change the reduce layers slider to 0, and we increase the simplify line slider to 10. Now we select the curved line style, and for filter we go with blur 3. So this is our heightmap right here. Now we're going to hit export, save as a PNG file. Now for the next step, we're going to head back to our test folder and enter map data and open our heightmap.png via, for example, Photoshop. As you can see, it is currently pitch black, and now we're going to create a layer from the background, and we just drag our downloaded heightmap into Photoshop. Once we've scaled it to fit the image size, it should look like this. And now with the eraser, we can rasterize our layer and then remove this bit at the bottom. Okay, now to check if this has worked, we are going to select image, mode, grayscale, 16 bits channel, and then we're going to hit save as a copy, select our heightmap, and hit save. And we open Crusader Kings in the map editor mode by typing map editor in the general tab, the launch options. Now we select our custom map playset. So when you're in the map editor, you might not see anything straight away, but don't worry, just go to the heightmap resolution and click Repack. And here your custom map appears. So as you can see, there are a few things that you need to moderate, and we see that the map, the landmass is way too high, and we can change that in the Photoshop file that we created by making it darker. So that's not a problem at all, but the basic shape is already in the game. So once we are back in Photoshop, we can just remove all the black parts of our image by selecting the magic wand tool, remove this, and we remain with our basic landmass. And now we want to make it darker, so we go to adjustments, brightness contrast, and turn the brightness down a lot. And we can also add an inner glow to make this lighter stroke disappear that we have on the outside of our map. When we are done editing, we just hit File, Save as a copy, heightmap.png. Back in game, we can see that this is still too high, so we're going to go back to Photoshop and reduce it and reduce the brightness even more, but you can do that as long until this is good. And for the rest of the map, you could see that we have height changes all around the map. So this has worked out perfectly. So in the map editor, there are a variety of tutorials on YouTube on how to use the map editor right. You can paint your map with materials. You can also edit your height map via the map editor. And you can also add map objects like trees and other objects into your map. But this is not the focus of today's video. Now, for the next step, we are going to open our provinces.png, which currently looks like this. And now we're going back to our height map. We select our layer, click duplicate layer, select our provinces.png, and now we have our height map in our provinces map. So next we're going to remove the effects, and we're going to make all of this one color. In this case, white will do. Now we want to define our provinces. So in the provinces map, it is important that half-trans pixels are disallowed. You can't use pixels that are half-transparent. So in our case, we have half and half-transparent pixels here at the coastline, and we have to remove those, otherwise we would get an error in game. So to do this, we're going to control-click on our thumbnail. Then we're going to select, edit in quick mask mode. Now we're going to image, adjustments, and threshold. We are going to set this to 255. Okay. Now we're going to hit Control I. Now we're going to exit the quick mask mode and we hit delete. So now there are only non-transparent pixels left in our map. So this is now perfect and we can start working on our provinces. Before we start painting, we are going to create a layer from background and we're going to select our thumbnail once again. Now we're going to back to layer 0 and delete. So now we can move layer 0 in front of our landmass. And now we don't have to worry about making a mess when drawing provinces on the coastline. So each province in game has their own specific color, and you can't use colors twice for different provinces. So in our case, we are just going to select a reddish color. The RGB is the important here. We have to take a look at that later on. Now we select our brush, create a new layer, which is in between our background layer and our landmass, and we start painting our first province. The important thing is that you don't have any transparent pixels doing this, so the smoothing is at 0% and the opacity at 100%, and the brush also has 100% hardness. And after that, we are going to select a different color and draw our second province. Now you can continue doing this, but for demonstration purposes, I will just draw these two provinces, which are, yes, a fairly accurate size for what your map's going to look like if you fill it with provinces all along. So now you're going to save this as a copy. Select provinces.png. So for the next step, we are going to be heading back to the map data folder and we are opening the definition CSV. I'm using Visual Studio Code. This right here is the province ID, And these three numbers are the RGB values. After that, we have our province name. So in our case, we're going to be removing this and replace it with the RGB color value of our first province, which is, if we take a look at it, 201, 54, and 54. So now we can name our province testprov1 and X here like this, and the same for the second province. Now we hit save and can close this again. So when you are finished with your provinces, we want to put our provinces into actual counties, duchies, kingdoms, and empires. And to do that, we open the common folder. We go to landed titles and we open the landed titles txt. And this may seem a little bit confusing, but you can just delete all of this and you can paste in this code that I've put into the description below. And in here you can see that we have one empire title, one kingdom title, one duchy title, one county title, and two barony titles, in this case barony test 1 and barony test 2. And this is the spot where we want to fill in our provinces. Now in my case, I got an error when I tried to paste in province number 2, so I just created a third one and copied the RGB colors to the third, which is why this is province number 3, because the number 2, province ID number 2, seems to be making an error in the game. So yeah, right here you paste your province IDs that you have prepared in your definition file. In my case, province ID number 1 and province ID number 3. This bracket is closing a county, this bracket is closing your duchy, this bracket is closing a kingdom, and the last bracket always has to close the empire title. If you wanted to add another province to this, you just copy this one, paste it here, change this to a 3, and your new province ID is here. In our case, we only use 2 provinces. So if you're done here, you can file and save. And back in the map editor, you can check your provinces by clicking on the mask painter tool, for example. And if we go to the map objects editor, you can see that barony test 1 and barony test 2 are inside your empire tier, recognized by the game. So this is great. Now in this next step, we want to create our map locators, so the positions in which the buildings and the troops emerge on the map. So to do this, we go into the GFX folder, map object data, and here we need to open up the building locators, the combat locators, the player stack locators, and the siege locators. So in here, only one province is pasted in by default, and we have 2 provinces right now. So we want to copy this and paste it right underneath. Just change your ID to 2 and do the same thing in all the other locator files that we have opened up. After that, if you've done that, you hit File and Save, and then we can hop back into the map editor. So back in the map editor, we go to Map Objects Editor. We wait for this to load up, and we're gonna click the Auto Nudge button right here. So this automatically places the building, the siege, the unit stack player owned, and the combat on your province. So this province is actually really small by accident, so it doesn't fit them very well. But you can select your building, then select your move tool and move it into the right position. The same for the siege. You can also rotate it by clicking E, and your unit stack player owned actually spawned right up here. So this is a weird bug that I've encountered a lot of times. When I place the locators, you just have to move it back to your province manually, like this. And the same for your combat. So once these are all in place, obviously this is very small, but if you make your provinces slightly bigger, this is going to be just perfect. You can hit save and close your game again. And now we can check if we can start our game without the map editor. And in game you can see that we have our map in here. If we zoom in, this is not yet marked as C, so it's still pink. If we zoom in, we have our county tier, and we have our building that we placed, and we could, by theory, press start and start playing now. We have our barony, we have our duchy, our kingdom, and our empire in here. Now, if we wanted to paste in another county, for example, we'd have to copy all of this, then make a space here and paste it in here. Now, add this, and now we would call this county tier 2 and paste our next provinces in here. So these two counties would obviously be part of this duchy. The same goes for duchies and kingdoms as well. So yeah, these are the basic things to know if you want to create your own custom map in Crusader Kings 3. Obviously, you could go and dive a lot deeper into that, and I could do that. If you want to see that, just leave a like and subscribe to my channel. And maybe leave a comment on what exactly you want to see in a tutorial. I could show you how to create characters for your provinces, how to create start dates, how to create custom cultures and religions, and how to create special buildings. Everything you want to see, you can leave a comment in the comment section, and I will come back to that when I have the time, which should be a lot more often now. I hope I could help you with this video, with this updated video, which should work for 1.8. And if you do have any questions or any problems, feel free to leave a comment under this video and I will try to help you with that.